isn't always a quiet fade into winter. Often it arrives violently, ripping the last remnants of summer from the trees. The English poet John Clare built his reputation on capturing this exact kind of disruption, documenting the English countryside with a focus on its rough, unforgiving edges. Take a look at the opening stanza of his poem, Autumn. Clare uses the wind as the primary engine driving the season. Notice his specific word choices. He writes about the fitful gust and the leaves twirling by the window pane. You almost feel the erratic, chaotic motion of the wind in the rhythm of the lines. Clare understood that to genuinely capture the reality of nature, you have to look closely at its raw, unpolished details. We see this exact attention to detail play out in the second stanza. Here, Clare juxtaposes the dying, naked trees with a small spark of lingering life, a single sparrow chirping on the cottage rig, or roof. As we move to the final lines, the imagery becomes even more grounded. He shifts focus to the harsh auditory realities of a November farm, detailing crowing cocks and grunting pigs. To build this scene, Clare relies on specific agricultural vocabulary. Looking at the word nest glossary below the text, we see terms like coat for a nest, stubble for the short lower stems of crops, and lea for grass-covered land. Identifying these precise sensory details provides the exact tools needed to solve the text's comprehension exercises. Because we tracked the imagery, mapping the answers is straightforward. We know exactly where the sparrow sat, where the pigeons nested, and why the pigs are scrambling. The artistic power of a poem comes from this deliberate selection of words. But to truly master writing, we have to understand the structural rules that dictate how those words fit together. That brings us from the art of word choice to the mechanics of the English language itself. Let's look at exercise 3, which asks us to identify whether sentences are written in the active or passive voice. The core mechanical difference between these two voices relies on position. If we take an active sentence like, Anil will visit his grandmother's house, we can make it passive by swapping the subject, Anil, and the object, the house. When they trade places, the verb phrase has to adapt. Will visit changes to will be visited to accommodate the new backward structure. Using the passive voice isn't a grammatical error. It's a deliberate tool writers use when the action taking place is more important than the specific person performing it. We apply a similar kind of structural logic when relaying conversations, as seen here in exercise 5. When converting a direct quote into reported, indirect speech, two mandatory transformations have to happen. We remove the quotation marks entirely, and we shift the verb tenses to reflect the past. Watch the mechanics here. The quotes dissolve, we add the conjunction if, and we execute a tense shift. Will you share correctly becomes if he would share. Mastering these speech conversions allows you to relay information accurately across different points in time, ensuring your reader is never confused about who said what and when. Now we reach the final phase, composition. This is where the challenge is taking raw, disjointed data and building it into cohesive writing. Exercise 7 provides a flowchart detailing how to make paper. But right now, these are just isolated steps. Cutting down bamboos, making pulp, they lack a natural narrative flow. To bridge these isolated data points, we inject transition words like first, next, and finally. By inserting these markers, we seamlessly string together the processes, adding chemicals, rolling sheets, and drying into a single flowing paragraph. Transition words act as the mortar holding individual bricks of data together in any explanatory text. Our final challenge puts all of these lessons to the test, taking a handful of fragmented historical hints and constructing a 100-word biography of Annie Besant. We flesh out raw fragments, like her birth date and status as a writer, by applying proper sentence structures. Combining precise vocabulary with varied pacing, these dry hints transform into a compelling summary of her political achievements in India. True mastery of the English language requires two different mindsets working in tandem. You need the poet's soul to observe the subtle details of the world and the grammarian's structural discipline to express them clearly.